that the meeting went the way that it did.
Tonight, premiers react to the recent meeting between Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. President Donald Trump.
U.S. colonialism is at our doorstep. We don't need no more colonialism here in Canada.
National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenak says resource extraction will not move forward without Indigenous consultation.
So that's going to cause a lot of disruption. And my hands are tied.
And disruption and hardship to Jordan's principal staff and clients after the federal government announces new cuts. Tanse, I'm Chris Nashkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Prime Minister Mark Carney hosted a call with the premiers today to talk about his meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House on Tuesday. The two leaders struck a cordial tone, but at the same time clashed on the issue of annexation. Carney also reminded Trump that Canada is America's biggest client. Here's part of what Carney and Trump had to say in that meeting.
We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here.
This is a very friendly conversation, but we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada, and at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves.
Speaking after that call, Ontario Premier Doug Ford complimented the Prime Minister for how the meeting went and hopes Mark Carney's leadership will be different from Justin Trudeau's.
I think Prime Minister Carney did a really good job in really reaching out to the West. And I was pretty blunt. I said, it's time that your government starts showing some love to Saskatchewan and Alberta, because as I said, like the last Prime Minister showed no love. Matter of fact, to the contrary.
BC Premier David Eby also spoke out about the meeting and said the premiers were happy with how Carney's meeting went with Trump.
There's a consensus among the premiers that the Prime Minister did well yesterday to baseline a new relationship between Canada and the United States, that there was a sense of a different level of engagement, that the President is respectful of the Prime Minister, and we were all grateful that the meeting went the way that it did, knowing how some other meetings have gone in that exact same office with other world leaders. While the Prime Minister was in Washington, the Conservative caucus was meeting for the first time since last week's election. With Pierre Poilievre losing his seat in the House of Commons, caucus members have again named Regina Qu'Appelle MP Andrew Scheer as the interim opposition leader. Scheer says he expects Poilievre to win a by-election soon and lead the caucus from the House later this spring.
We have a leader of the party, and we expect that Mr. Carney will be true to his word. He has promised to call a by-election quickly so that Pierre can rejoin us in the House and lead us from the chamber. He still remains the leader of the party and the movement. He's got the support of caucus. He's got the support of 8 million Canadians who voted Conservative and our movement all across the country. So for the next few weeks, for procedural reasons, there are some things that require someone to do who has that seat in the House of Commons. I'll be taking, fulfilling those duties, but he's still the leader of the party.
Meanwhile, several provinces are dealing with wildfires. Hundreds of fire crews are working to put out fires near Badger, Newfoundland, and in Opaskwayak Cree Nation in Manitoba, while in Alberta, several communities are under threat. A wave of evacuation orders forced hundreds out of their homes in different parts of Alberta as strong winds fueled the flames. There are at least 20 active wildfires at this moment. 3 of them are burning out of control, with hot and dry conditions expected to persist this week. Quebec's police watchdog is investigating a police-involved shooting. According to Quebec watchdog, the Nunavik Police Service was attempting to arrest someone who was inside a tent in Gaaniksulukachuk. The police watchdog says the person came out of the tent allegedly holding a sharp-edged weapon and moved towards the officers. A stun gun was used to subdue the person while another officer opened fire. The victim was declared dead in hospital. The identity has not been released. Gaaniksuluk is located just over 1,300 kilometers north of Quebec City. A Saskatchewan broadcasting company has put together a missing persons database from all of the cases they have reported on. They are hoping this initiative will encourage people to come forward with information about missing person cases. APTN video journalist Rachel May has more.
You know how stories get posted to a news website and then they eventually just get pushed down by the next news story and the next news story. And it's like suddenly these stories are no longer readily available. And I was like, okay, we've got to do something different. We've got to do something to keep this stuff out there.
The Mississippi Broadcasting Corporation in La Ronge, Saskatchewan, serves mainly Indigenous audiences throughout the province. Their news department has launched a database of all missing person stories they've covered. A missing persons banner is front and center on the MBC Radio website homepage. Clicking the banner takes users to the database and also links to resources like Aboriginal Alert and the Crime Stoppers tip line. Ken Landers, NBC Radio morning host and database co-creator, says the project aims to keep cases fresh in the public's mind and encourage people to share information.
People will see this, explore it, go through it and go, oh, and maybe that light bulb moment comes on and they think, I know something about this. And even if they're unsure, the biggest thing is that we encourage them to, to still bring that forward.
The page includes a search function where users can enter a missing person's name to see all related stories. Most stories include contact details for submitting tips either directly to law enforcement or to Crime Stoppers for those who wish to stay anonymous. Landers hopes the database will help bring closure to families still seeking answers.
If you know something, say something. If you don't want to come forward in person or be identified, use the anonymous tip sources that are available, like Crime Stoppers and such. Do something good for somebody else. If you know something, help them find some closure. And if you're unsure about it, put yourself in their shoes and think how you would feel. And think how you would feel if you got that information that gave you that final answer.
Landers says that as long as there continues to be missing people, the database will remain active. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
A chief from a First Nation in Manitoba appeared in a Saskatchewan courtroom earlier this week. He is facing 2 charges in connection to alleged assaults that occurred last year. 53-year-old Chief Donald Smoke of the Dakota Plains First Nation, located just southwest of Portage la Prairie, is facing 2 counts of sexual assault. The charges were filed in June of last year after reports from 2 adult women. The alleged incidents occurred in Kindersley, Saskatchewan in February of 2024. Smoke appeared in court on Tuesday, and his next court appearance is scheduled for May 20th in Kindersley, Saskatchewan. Now to BC, where just 2 days after a press conference held by Justice for Girls and family members of 2 women and 1 girl, the province's chief coroner announced an inquest into the death of one of the women. 20-year-old Tatiana Harrison, who was found on a dry docked yacht in Richmond, BC in 2022, will now be getting an inquest into her death after an outside pathologist disagreed with the 2 initial findings of the coroner's report that said she died of a fentanyl overdose and later changed that death by sepsis. On National Red Dress Day, Natasha, the mother of Tatyanna, were joined by the aunt of 13-year-old Noel O'Soup and the mother of 24-year-old Chelsea Poorman. All three families, along with their lawyer Sue Brown and supported by the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, wrote a letter requesting this inquest.
I am excited. The best way to describe it is I'm very confused because I'm excited for something so tragic. I think it's going to take a bit of time. Like, I had some tears this morning. I think yesterday I was very elated. I hope that it'll get inquests into Noel O'Soup and Chelsea Poorman. But I hope that we find out what happened to Tatyanna. I hope that it opens the door for transparency.
The AFN is calling for a seat at the decision-making table with the feds, and there is new cuts to Jordan's principal funding. Those stories when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenak recently gave a keynote address at an Indigenous Prosperity Forum held in Gatineau, Quebec. The event was hosted by the National Aboriginal Capital Corporations Association. Woodhouse-Nepenak spoke about the outcome of the federal election, and she congratulated the 12 Indigenous MPs who were elected. She said it was one of the most important federal elections in the history of this country and is looking forward to working with this government towards economic prosperity while protecting the environment. Woodhouse-Nepenak also said economic reconciliation is a legal obligation for future generations. She told APTN News, First Nations are a fundamental partner and resource extraction projects will not move forward without them at the table.
It's now 2025. At the same time, the premiers themselves and the federal government, when they do meet, need to make sure that First Nations have a full seat at the table. They haven't ever, and they've always put National Chiefs, our First Nations, at the little kiddie table the day before the morning of for an hour discussion. And that type of relationship, U.S. colonialism is at our doorstep. We don't need no more colonialism here in Canada.
17 Jordan's principal staff workers of the Cree Nation Tribal Health Center in the Paw, Brandon, and Winnipeg have been laid off this week after the executive director says Indigenous Services Canada made the decision to cut Jordan's principal funding for tribal councils who serve off-reserve JP clients. This is according to Frank Turner, the executive director of Cree Nation Tribal Health, who says their office received an email from the federal government on Monday about the incoming cuts to their office. Turner says he believes the cuts from the federal government will impact all other tribal councils across the country, and now the Jordan's principal funding will instead go directly to each First Nation, and each Jordan's principal client will have to work with their First Nation to access those services. Cree Nation Tribal Health previously serviced 55 First Nations in Manitoba with more than 1,000 JP clients. Turner admits their hands were tied in letting go all 17 workers and says he also worries about their clients and how the cuts will create a lot of disruption and hardship for Indigenous families and children in need.
I'm really worried about going forward with the clients because a lot of them are there. They really need the help. They really need the support, especially the medical part of it, that they have to go for appointments and stuff like that. They can't do that through our office anymore. So that's going to cause a lot of disruption. And my hands are tied. I just have to did what I did yesterday, lay off a bunch of good people, and hopefully that they'll find jobs.
APTN News contacted Indigenous Services Canada for comment this afternoon, but they were unable to provide a statement before broadcast time. We will bring you an update from ISC when it's available. For more than 20 years, the underground gym in Thunder Bay, Ontario has been teaching youth how to box. Throughout its existence, the gym has transformed into a full-service youth center dedicated to promoting fitness, healthy lifestyles, self-confidence, and self-respect. APTN's Mike McDonald reports.
This is Aubrey. This is Isla, who does not want to show her face.
For the underground gym and youth center and its founder, Peter Panetta, Monday nights are all about the children.
I love them. I've always, my whole life, worked with children, and I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue to do that until my last breath.
Arts and crafts are happening in one area while hair care is offered in another. 10-year-old Isla is getting her hair done, a service offered by a center volunteer. She likes going to the center and spending time with her friend Peter.
He's fun, and I gave him a nickname.
Okay, what's his nickname?
Old Lady.
Old Lady?
When I say Peter, he doesn't listen, and when I yell Old Lady, he listens to me.
On days like this, Peter Panetta is the kindly, fatherly figure.
I'm the donkey.
But on Tuesday nights,
Harder! Go, Brooklyn! Get those hands up! Go! Move the bags!
he returns to the activity that gave birth to the underground. Since 1993, Panetta's been coaching boxers. On this day, he's getting his best fighters ready for competition. One of them is Christian Sutherland, who had a very simple reason for getting involved in the sport.
Oh man, if I'm being honest, I would say to be in shape. You know what I'm saying? I was like about 16, I was out of shape. I wasn't feeling good about myself. I wasn't confident. And I tried this thing out. It was working. I saw the transformation. And I was like, I'm gonna keep going.
Put everything into the last round. Come on, put everything into it.
These workouts here, you know, gives you an opportunity to regulate your emotions and like a positive output, you know, rather than suppressing it and it coming out in negative ways. But at the same time, you can't use the training to go out in the street and use it in a bad way, I guess. But as long as you got a good a coach like Peter, you'll be doing good, yeah.
For Brooklyn Fox of Mishkigogaming First Nation, boxing is a means of adding to her fighting skills.
Yeah, I'm very much into martial arts more than team sports. I like to watch Muay Thai and all these other martial arts that interest me, and that's what keeps me going to do boxing too.
Brooklyn, along with other boxers at the gym, has helped Panetta bring the sport to other Northern Ontario communities.
I went to Fort Reserve, which was Bearskin, Niskandaga, and Fort Hope, and my own reserve. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed getting to know the youth up there. It was nice seeing like the potential some of them had, and overall it helps my communication skills.
Panetta, who often talks about his own tough youth, works his fighters hard.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm brutal, but life is even more harder than me. So if they can take it from me, they can take it out anywhere. It doesn't matter. You see them struggling, and you see them huffing and puffing and struggling, but they persevere. They keep going. So what does that tell you? They're going to do the same no matter where they go. Ideally, what I'd love is to have all of the Northern Reses with boxing clubs connected, and then they can compete against each other with a tournament, or at the very least, if there's competitive fighters, they can come down to Thunder Bay and join my fighters, and off we go to competitions wherever we go.
Panetta says he would like to see the underground gym and youth center model, which in addition to boxing includes art and music lessons, to also be adopted by First Nations communities across Northern Ontario. Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Thunder Bay.
Great story, Mike. A First Nation company is getting in on the Winnipeg Jets' success. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Time now for our photo of the day. More than 300 people gathered to remember MMIWG2S Plus people in the community of Canoe Lake Cree First Nation in northwestern Saskatchewan. A big thank you to Clement DeRoche for sharing this picture with us. If you have a photo you want to see on TV here, send it to us by email at share@aptnnews.ca to be our next photo of the day. Time now for a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. On the east coast, Fredericton 16, Halifax 19. Cartwright 0, La Grande River 10 and sun. Partly cloudy in Montreal at 12, rain in Quebec City at 8. Rain in Toronto at 15, Peterborough 15. 14 in Timmins, Sudbury 13. Churchill 7, Thompson 20. 26 in Winnipeg, Gimli 22. 29 in Regina, Saskatoon 26. 23 in La Ronge and rain, Stony Rapids, showers there as well, and 13. Rain in Peace River at 16, Fort McMurray 16 as well. 22 in Lethbridge, Edmonton 16. Vancouver 13, Bella Coola 13. Sandspit 11, Smithers 12. Beaver Creek 13, Whitehorse 10. 4 in Yellowknife, Fort Simpson 10. Tuktoyaktuk -9, Paulatuk -8. Chesterfield -8, Whale Cove -8. And Clyde River -11, Agulik -6. The Winnipeg Jets begin their second round of Stanley Cup playoffs at home tonight against the Dallas Stars. A local First Nation company is now getting in on the Winnipeg Jets' success and are helping the Jets paint the streets white. APTN's Veronica Blackhawk has that story for us.
Well, this was a big deal for us because it's not only is it big for the community, but it's big for me as an individual. I'm a super big Jets fan, right? So when I started my company 12 years ago, this was one of my dreams to print for the Jets. And I thought it was a dream that I would always chase, but now it's a dream come true.
Michelle Cameron is the founder of Dreamcatcher Promotions. If you've ever wondered who fulfills the swarms of towels, tees, and garments adorned by thousands of Jets fans each game, then look to the Indigenous owned and operated promotions company. Michelle's been working with the Winnipeg Jets for 2 years, and with the recent victories, business has been booming.
Now that we're in round 2, like our timelines are still pretty tight because every game that we win, it advances us further. So we're always chasing towels, right? So that was one big piece, and then we fit in the apparel in between the towels. So for us, it's like a revolving door. It's like we're constantly on the go, and we're still doing 12 to 18-hour days.
It's a partnership that's extremely beneficial for the company, one that extends far beyond game night.
It gives us a leg up in a sense because now we can showcase what we're capable of and the capacity that we can do. We're one of the largest printers here in Manitoba, so we can print out 8,000 to 9,000 units in a day. So it's helping our company grow. Like we're getting a lot of new accounts that we might not have had before, just because they're accounts that require high volume. So they know now we have the capacity to do that.
It's a game that brings communities together and provides economic support to Indigenous creatives, proving that a win for the Jets is a win for the community.
Well, just the Jets alone keeps 8 of our staff steady, and then we're having to bring casual people to fill evening shifts and day shifts, and it's more than just printing a shirt. There's so many hands that this order has to touch.
Veronica Blackhawk, APTN National News.
Cool story, Veronica. Thank you for that. And that's your evening newscast for this Wednesday. We're back again for your new newscast tomorrow at 12 p.m. Winnipeg time. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho. Thank you for watching. Ekse.